How's it going, Cross Church? Dustin here. Hope you guys are doing well. I just want to let everybody know that I'm the twin that wears the glasses. I've been doing this for a year and a half, and then my brother just decides to randomly show up preaching with glasses on. But I was the trendsetter. So, Daniel, I'm the twin with glasses. But no, I'm kidding. But Daniel did a great job for us yesterday. I do appreciate him able to make it to the church and share a great word with us, and also to partake into communion together as a family. And so, Daniel, thank you for doing that. I'm totally kidding about the glasses, but they did look good. So great job. But, I want to talk about the weather today, obviously, because we've just dealt with a pretty good sized storm. I often make fun of the weathermen. You guys know this. And a lot of times the reason I make fun of them is because I was burned by them so many times as a bricklayer, as a construction guy. You builders that are watching this, Russ and Heath and Autumn and Dawn, you guys know what the elements of surprise are when you're doing something outside, right? And there's been times when I've went to bed and there was a 20% chance of rain and it would rain all day. And then there's other times I would go to bed, there was 100% chance of rain and it wouldn't rain. And there were times when it was supposed to snow and it didn't snow, and it wasn't supposed to get above freezing and it did. And so I would get very terribly frustrated with the weathermen. And the longer I got involved in the construction field and doing brickwork for so long, the more mature I got. Right? I just decided I wasn't going to fight the elements anymore. I wasn't going to fight the weather anymore. So if I knew there was a big chance of rain or I saw a storm coming, I wasn't going to pinpoint when it was going to show up to the job site, or predict when it was going to get to 33 degrees so we could our mortar wouldn't freeze up and all those things. And so I got a lot more mature about that, because I realized that the weathermen are not in control. Even though I would like to get mad at those guys for that, I understood that I began to understand that they're not in control, but they do say things they shouldn't say, right? We all know that. And but props to them. They did get this storm pretty much right for the most part. So applaud to them. But we've got to understand that God is in control of the weather. And so you'll see behind me that, there's a dinosaur head poking out. This was not a part of my act here, but we were able to take our grandson Weston sledding yesterday. I was able to pick up all my kids and bring them to Norman, and we went sledding, and we had a great day, had taco soup, watched a movie we shouldn't have, right? And so the weather provided us a great way to do something that we haven't done together in a long time, which is go sledding. Which is to share a meal together, which is, spend a lot of time together without having to worry about, going somewhere or doing this or doing that, because we're kind of all on the same page and affected by this storm that God allowed to happen. Colossians 1:16 through 17 said Christ holds all nature together, right? Psalms 147, it says, he covers the sky with clouds. He provides the earth with rain and makes the grass grow on the hills. Job, his life was completely just destroyed by the elements, by wind and nature. And Job says he makes the snow fall and the rain downpour, right? Mark chapter 4 talks about how Jesus rebuked the storm. So God is in control of the weather. And so my advice to you guys is just to understand that these things are worked out to our eventual good, right? Now, we've all been affected by the weather in some different capacity, right? I've been hit by a tornado, right? I have. That's a long story. If you want to talk about it, we can. I know the Cordics were devastated by a tornado a long time ago. There's so many of you that have been affected by the weather, fires and wind and rain and snow and ice, all those things. But God is in control of those things, right? And we can't understand his master plan, but he is in control of what happens and what comes from the sky. And we've got to find peace in that, right? And so what I hope we can do when these things come our way, right, is understand that we can find ways to, and I love this saying, be where your feet are, right? Our feet are right here on the snow. There's snow everywhere. Be where your feet are today. And really, it might allow you to reflect on the sovereignty of God, the providence of God, and how he is in so much control of what goes on around us. So I'm thanking God for the snow. I love it. And I hope it happens again soon. So you guys have a great week. It's been good being with you. today. Stay safe out there. We hope to see our youth group on Wednesday, and then we should be back in church next Sunday. And we love you. If you need anything, let us know. Take care.